Hi, I'm Kelly with CitrusCycles.ca. Thought I'd do a quick video comparison for you between two full suspension electric mountain bikes. We have the Brose EStream EVO FS3 27.5 Plus on the left here, and on the right we have Riese Muller's Delite Mountain. Both are full suspension electric mountain bikes from German companies. They both have the 27.5 plus tire size, and they're both fantastic bikes. They have a lot of similarities. They both have the Shimano 11-speed cassette, for example. They both have Shimano hydraulic disc brakes. So there's a fair number of differences. There's similarities, but there's also quite a number of differences. So right away you can look at the Brose bike here and you can tell that Brose is really focused on making this not look like an e-bike. They use the Brose mid-drive here, and the battery is integrated right into the frame, keeping with this theme of making it almost stealth, not really looking like an e-bike. You can see the controller over here is nice and small, very compact. That does have a benefit of being protected from a crash if you're riding this bike very aggressively. So really the big takeaway on this bike is that it doesn't look like an e-bike at all. When we come over here to the Riese Muller, you can't really say that it doesn't look like an e-bike, especially when we've got the dual battery option here. And then again, that's an option you can choose from. The great thing about that is those are 500 watt-hour batteries, so you've got 1,000 watt-hours of capability here, so you can literally ride all day. Instead of using the Brose system, we're using the Bosch. This is the Performance Line CX, and although it isn't as stealthy as the Brose, it's not hugely apparent that you've got a motor down there, but certainly with the batteries, that's going to make it obvious that it's an e-bike. The Bosch system is using the Untitled display here. It's a much bigger display. On the other hand, there are some advantages with the Brose system on the Brose. Basically, all you're getting is, I'll pop back over here for you, you can see it. Basically, you just have your current speed, the battery capacity, and then you've got 3 levels of assist here, 1, 2, and 3, and you can see the level of assist indicated there. You could, if there were lights, control them from here, but there aren't, and you can also activate step walk mode, walk assistance, and that's about it. On the Untitled display, you can also activate the lights, and Riese Muller has actually included some fantastic, very bright lights, front and rear. So, and as you're going to see as I point out some of these features, if you were using this full suspension mountain bike for more than just aggressive downhill trail riding, you're doing all mountain riding, maybe you're doing commuting or touring, this is a nice bike because not only do you have that dual battery capacity, but you have the option of a rear rack. And again, this is completely optional. If you're mostly doing trail riding, you might not want a rack on there, but if you are using this bike for everything else, as well as downhill riding and trail riding, then it's nice to have that optional rack, and it is nice to have those lights. So back to the Untitled display here, you can see it is a much bigger display. There is more of a potential for damage during a crash, of course. You see nice big display of your current speed, the battery capacity, the level of assist, and on the Bosch system we have 4 levels of assist. That can actually help increase your range because a lot of people like riding on level 2, which is going to use a little bit less power than level 2 on the Brose bike with the Brose system. We also have a trip computer on here, and you don't have that on the Brose. It is a smaller display, of course. It's hard to fit all that info in there. So you have things like trip distance, you have a clock, you have your maximum speed, your average speed, your trip time. But really, my favorite feature on the Bosch system is this range calculator that's going to show you how much range you have left based on the last little while that you've ridden, and the level of assist that you have, and how much battery capacity you have. So that's certainly a difference between the two systems in terms of the display in terms of the battery being integrated into the frame on the Bulls, whereas it's on the frame with the Bosch system. Now, the reason why you won't find a Bosch system with a battery built right into the frame like you do with the Brose system is that Bosch has standardized their batteries. So the advantage of that is these batteries aren't specific to Riese Muller. Any Bosch e-bike is going to use the same batteries, so that makes it really easy to get spare batteries and get replacement batteries. When Bosch developed these 500 watt-hour batteries, previously the standard was 400, they made them the same size, so they're backwards compatible. So that's a really neat feature. Whereas each manufacturer with the Brose system can design their own battery. It's made by BMZ. So it is possible to get replacement and spares and stuff, but they're not interchangeable between bikes. And that is a nice feature. You know, my wife and I both ride Bosch-powered bikes, and so I can easily swap batteries, and we do find people often considering that as an important part of their decision-making process. So the Bulls, in terms of it being a full suspension bike, you know, you don't see the rack and that sort of thing. What you do see on this bike is more travel. So we've got 150 millimeters on the RockShox Monarch here and 150 millimeters on the RockShox Yari up front. On the Riese Muller, they're going with a Fox Float 34 on the front, and that's giving us 120 millimeters of travel. Now, interestingly, this is actually an e-bike optimized fork. That's pretty cool. That means they've accounted for the extra weight of the motor and the battery and the different handling characteristics you're going to find. And so that's pretty cool. We've got the Fox here as well, and that's going to give you 100 millimeters of travel. So the Bulls is definitely giving you a little bit more travel than the Riese Muller. The other thing you'll notice with the Brose system on the Bulls is you can do a dual chainring up front, which we've done, and on the Bosch system you can see that you're limited to just a single chainring, and that may or may not make a difference to you. It depends on your preferences. I find I can manage just fine with the single sprocket on the front, but it certainly gives you a little bit more climbing power when you have the two chain rings on the front of the Bulls. In terms of tires, we've got the knobby Nick on the Riese Muller with 40 millimeter rims. On the Bulls over here, we do have the Schwalbe Rocket Ron. Both are the 27.5 plus format, so both about 2.8 inches. Both are tubeless ready. We've got 35 millimeter rims on the Bulls. So some slight differences, but a lot of similarities, and really the main differences would come down to the choice of drive system. If you have specific questions about these bikes or you want to try them out, just head on over to citruscycles.ca and I'd be happy to answer them for you. Certainly riding them can help make a decision between the two of them. At the end of the day, they're both fantastic bikes. I would suggest, in my personal opinion, if you were looking for a bike that could do everything, you do a lot of commuting, you need the option of the rack, you love going long distances and like the dual battery, maybe you don't like bringing a backpack and you like these really cool integrated cageless water bottles that Riese Muller includes here, then you know, the Riese Muller has some nice features, especially with the built-in lights. If, on the other hand, you're mostly doing trail riding, you don't need a rack, you don't mind throwing on some rechargeable lights, and you love the extra travel that this bike offers because you're doing a lot of technical riding, then maybe the Bulls is a better choice. Or maybe you just don't like getting razzed by your friends for riding an e-bike up the mountain, even though, you know, I think it's awesome because you get to ride, you get to have as much fun going up as you do down, and you can ride a lot more times than your friends. But if you don't like the hassle, you want to, you know, kind of sneak by on your e-bike, then the Bulls has that advantage of being a real stealthy bike. So that's the Bulls eStream EVO FS3 27.5 Plus, it's a mouthful, or the Riese Muller Delite Mountain. Both are fantastic fun bikes to try, and for all the specs and a detailed review of each individual bike, head over to citruscycles.ca.